I don't think anybody wants to see your gooch though.
Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the third episode, I believe this is. Last time we completely stripped down the old chassis. That chassis is now gone, and it's all in the new stuff. And today we're going to be taking out all the sound deadening, or whatever, the insulation and shit like that. I'm not the one doing this shit, it's him, so we'll go ahead and get him to explain the rest of it. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy it.
Well, the S15 is on its way to FDF to go see Josiah to get the roll cage done, and before that we had to strip all the sound deadener out, so all the welding and so on can be done properly. Now, on an S15 is a little bit different than a 13 or a 14 or most other cars. Generally you can use dry ice, which we have here, to freeze the sound deadener and then take a chisel and a hammer and take it off. However, for whatever reason, Nissan thought it was a great idea to use some other kind of material on the floor pan and the normal stuff like your car and every other car for all the raised, elevated stuff. Now, that being said, we can dry ice the top stuff and make a big mess with a grinder with all these different wire wheels to get the rest of it off. Good thing to have too is a shop vac to get all that stuff out while you're doing it, so you don't make a huge mess. At least you're sucking up some of it. Something to have definitely is a dust mask, some face protection, pass me a little smidge, and something so you can hear after. If you're going to be using dry ice, get some really good gloves and don't hold onto it for very long. It is dangerous, it'll just burn you just as much as a flame would. You can get dry ice usually from any kind of welding or gases supply store. Like in Canada we have like Praxair and stuff like that. I bought 7 kilograms, whatever that is in pounds, couldn't tell you, for about 25-30 bucks. To do an entire, like S13 for example, I would say that you'd want at least 20 kilos, if not 25 kilograms worth of stuff, because you don't want to run out of it and have to wire wheel it off. So, that being said, we'll get to work and you'll see the magic happen. When you're taking the door off, make sure that you remove the harness first and the door opener closer job in the door jamb. If you try to do it once the door is already off, you're gonna have a bad time and drop shit and bend it. This isn't really necessary, but for you guys it makes things a lot easier to see, and the doors have to come off for me anyhow. You don't need a lot, just make sure that it's all covered. Stacking it all up and stuff isn't going to make any difference. Make sure you have really good gloves. That cracking that you're hearing, that's it all separating from the body. Like magic. If you're really careful, you can get them off in nice big pieces. You separate all the little pieces, you can just scoop it all up and do the other side. Now what I'm using here, this is a gasket scraper. I bought this from Princess Auto. You don't really need anything fancy, and it doesn't even really need to be that sharp. You can even use a good screwdriver or something. Now using a hammer and a chisel, I'd avoid, as you just dent the body and really like mess it up, which just makes more work for you in the end. You shouldn't need much force to take this off. that's a good idea to wait a little bit and just let it do its thing. Usually it takes a minute or two. When you start hearing the really, really big cracks, that's when you know it's ready to come off. See, now if you don't freeze it off, you'll get all this nasty black stuff. When you freeze it, you get a nice surface. Well, when you're doing this, you might find spots that are like really, really difficult to get out, like right here. And because usually they put extra glue right where they put a rubber grommet or a metal grommet that's usually sealed in with a sealant. No, there's a nice hole there. There's one on the other side, so sometimes you really gotta work. To get that part off. Sometimes you have to use the wire wheel to get these things off because they just don't come off. Yep. This is the same stuff that's on the floor that I mentioned earlier is made out of this awful crap.
Fiber. Still think you want to build a race car?
Sometimes to separate it, it helps if you kind of push it from the bottom. So the dry ice doesn't fly away. I put some rags on top of it. It also helps keep the cold too. Yeah, so for some of the stuff that's like very vertical, so you can't really put any of the dry ice on it, even with a bag, some of the stuff, it just won't come off. Now, Nico started taking off this using a torch by just adding some light heat and then scraping it away like that, which works pretty good. It's time consuming, but it's effective. It doesn't really make much of a mess. Now, always have a fire extinguisher handy, just in case you do light something on fire, and don't do this with the interior in the car. More things in here, more things that can happen. But as you can see, it comes off really easy. Just a little bit of light heat. Alternatively, you could use a heat gun, but this works good and it's quick and easy and there's no cords in the way. From that, we'll take a wire wheel and or a cut brush and a grinder and take all that off. And if there's anything left, just some thinners on a rag and be nice and clean and ready to start cleaning up all the spot welds and stuff to stitch weld the inside of the cart as well. So because I have an aftermarket handbrake and I won't be using the standard mechanical e-brake, I had to remove this nice little bracket here so we can make room for the new transmission. For whatever reason, these are the toughest spot welds on this entire car, and they're always a huge pain in the ass, so make sure you have lots of drill bits and bring your patience with you. If you have a hard time finding where the spot welds are, hit it with a torch and a wire brush, and you'll see the little dimples of where it was welded. So there's lots of little sheet metal parts that we don't need, like this airbag tray and these rear seat mounts. So up here a little dimple. Now remember just to start small, because sometimes they come off with a small hole and sometimes you have to go a little bit more. Now these will all get welded shut. Just give them a little dry. They had to remove these to get the back plates for the reinforcement for the back tubes for the roll cage. So getting these out of the way for Josiah will make his life a little bit easier. Now for these big ones, these ones here, because there's nothing behind them, I can just drill straight through to make things easier. For these other ones, I just want to drill just the head of it so I can peel it off. Now when you're stitch welding certain panels, sometimes there's like a seam sealer or a panel bond in between, as well as being spot welded. Now when you're welding that, you're going to have a big fire and more or less a crappy weld and have a really bad time. So what I like to do after I scrape off whatever I can by hand, take a torch, gently heat it, and with your cordless wire wheel here, works pretty good. Works pretty good. So as this car was a bit stuffed up in the back end when I got it, and I wanted to delete the rear trunk vents, which are most prominently on the other side. If you can look underneath, that is the main entry for smoke into your cabin, and obviously with the power level and the size tires you're using and everything else, smoke in the car is kind of a bad idea. More smoke outside of the car, the better. So what I did on my last car is I cut off these rear aprons to seal them up flat, which also gives the smoke a little bit of a better exit point out of the back of the car. wide, box it in. Cut this off nice and straight. Leave a little bit of a lip so I can plug weld it all nice and strong, and hopefully pull this quarter panel out a bit before we put the overs up. Well, this will get prettied up a lot more once I get the quarter all cut out. But at least this gives me a little bit of access so I can hammer and pull and tug on the quarter panel and get it straight again. No more smoke in the car. Yeah, so we're just kind of wrapping up here. We've got all the sound deadener off. I've started taking a wire wheel and a grinder to get all the leftover scuzz off, which is very lovely and very messy. So wear some crappy clothes. Yeah, so we just got to get the rest of this all off, and we're going to go over all the seams, get them ready for stitch welding. And once that's done, it's off to Josiah's to get the cage done, which I'm really excited about. So, we'll go over and check out the big pile of crap that we pulled out of this, and kind of get a good idea of what really comes out of these cars. Well, as you can see, there's a ton of stuff. Now, a bunch of this already made it into the vacuum and in the garbage, but there is a whole lot of this stuff that comes out of the car. Here's our rear aprons that we took out. But brackets we removed. There's a lot.
So yeah, that's about it for this episode, guys. Next time you're going to be seeing the car get the cage, or at least prepare to get the cage in. Drive it out that way. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, see you all later.
Dicks.
Dicks!
Where's Rob?